the change Americans deserve.
Well, thank you for your time and for your commitment from all of us to all of you. Marshall, I mentioned earlier, Marshall University's in Huntington, West Virginia, as you know. They've had some great football teams, some of the best football teams in the country, actually, over the years. And thinking about how we take the legislation that Senator Capito, Senator Bozeman, and I, and others have crafted and moved through this committee, moved through the Senate, how we get it through the House and onto the President's desk. And we've made great progress. But I use a football analogy. We're inside the red zone, but the ball's not inside the end zone. And so as we leave here today, we've got to figure out how to get this ball into the end zone. I think we can. I think we can. All politics is personal, and as a friend of mine once likes to say, and we got to push every button to get this done. There's so much that's depending on it. So many jobs, so much good for our economy, just good in terms of climate change. It works in so many different ways that we got to get the job done. My first question really to be to the entire panel, and I want to focus on Swiffer grants. And as I think you all have mentioned in your testimony, Swiffer grant, EPA Swiffer grant program has unlocked funding for unique waste management projects across our entire country. States, communities, and non-governmental organizations have also awarded grants on their own for projects that bolster our nation's recycling systems. My question for each of you. And would you each please share with us how these federal investments will protect the environment as well as contribute to the economy and job creation in communities across our nation? And Mr. Marshall, I'm going to ask you to respond first, and we'll go to your right.
Well, absolutely. Thank you. As a granting organization, I can tell you that over the past 10 years of our existence, the money that we've invested in this system has resulted in the capture of more than 1 billion pounds of new recyclables, avoiding 1 million metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions. So Swiffer is going to be doing the same things. And the recycling system, if resourced in the appropriate way that we believe needs to be resourced, it can result in a $30 billion positive economic impact through job creation and private sector investment.
All right. Ms. Faris, did you agree with anything he's just said?
Do I agree with it? Yeah, I agree with.
All right, go ahead and
What them have said.
go proceed, please.
Yeah. So. Yeah, thank you. We're very excited about the possibility of bringing a private company to actually fill a hole in what we determined was the gap in the circular economy for the salvaged lumber in our area. This will displace the need to actually take virgin lumber out of our forests. It will also create carbon sinks. This old lumber is actually old growth forests. You know, when you think about it, anything before 1940 was harvested out of our old growth forests. So these are carbon sinks, and it's so much better. And then from an economic point of view, these are jobs. You have jobs for the people who are deconstructing the houses, and we're actually complementing the funds that we're getting from Swiffer to train more people to do that. There's jobs to transport the lumber. There's jobs to actually denail and process the lumber. There's jobs to market it, and then there's jobs to sell it. So and then there's the jobs for the actual rebuilding of new houses. So these all create opportunities for new jobs in this sector. And then beyond that, the money is being used in other areas, in other arenas. Like in Hawaii, they're going to be using it in the reuse arena, and I can talk about that at a later time.
Okay. Same question, Ms. Secretary Beiser, please.
In addition to we have a local government, Durham County, who received a grant through Swiffer to update and reconstruct their convenience center in a disadvantaged community. So we're seeing some real impacts along those lines. But just to talk about the state data, aspect of it for a moment. I mentioned earlier, recycling being an inherently local activity, and it's important that states have the capacity they need to support those programs to help them understand how they can optimize and make sure that they're reaching their residents and providing access. So having the ability to invest in data, which is not something we often have, is going to be really critical, not just for my state, but for other states. Understand what's in the waste stream, understand where material is being generated, where the infrastructure to collect that material is lacking. We have some MRF deserts that we're trying to address, especially in the northeastern part of our state. So the more we can learn about what's being generated there, which residents have access, which don't, we can help support our local governments to make sure that not only can they provide additional resources, but also as we have a limited amount of grant funding as a state that we can give out. We want to make sure we're maximizing our rate of return on that, leveraging any kind of private investment we can, and data is going to enable us to do all of those things.
All right, thank you. Thank you each for your responses. Senator Capito.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And as I mentioned in my opening statement, the absolutely critical